All right, Randall Hughes with God Glorified, and some comments on our January 7th reading from chapters 14, 15, and 16. And this isn't some of our deeper content in terms of the book of Job, but there is some interesting things that we can consider about the book of Job and what's written here. We have no way of knowing what Job did or did not know in terms about the future, about a judgment, about redemption, about life after death. And it seems almost though as maybe Job is working through some of that thought process. And we find some things in our readings today where he makes some statements, and I believe they're pointing towards some of those thoughts that we'll be finding out more tomorrow in our reading that I know are coming up that relate to the resurrection of the dead. And so, for instance, in today's reading in verse 10, he said, "But man dieth and wasteth away, yea, man giveth up the ghost, and where is he?" It's a question probably all of us have to some degree. I believe that in the life after death that there is somewhat of a disposition that occurs at the point of death, that you're determined to be either righteous or unrighteous. And by that determination at that moment, you go to either paradise or to hell. And we get this from Luke, where we read of the rich man Lazarus, which is not a parable, I do not believe, because Jesus he names Lazarus. And if it were a parable, we do not have another parable that I'm aware of in which there is a name given of one of the individuals in the parable. And so that stands out and makes us feel like this is a real event that took place in time. And it's in chapter 16 of Luke, and where we read of it. And rich man died, Lazarus died, and Saul was carried to Abraham's bosom by the angels, and the rich man also died and was buried. And in hell, the rich man lifted up his eyes and saw Lazarus. And so the where we go when we die, that's some of the you go to hell if you're wicked, you go to paradise if you're righteous. And of course, Jesus on the cross to the thief said, "This day shalt thou be with me in paradise." It's amazing how people misunderstand the timing of that statement. The New Testament really did not fully begin until after the death of the testator. So New Testament salvation was really not available until the day of Pentecost. And so the thief is not saved the same way as you are. It's a different dispensation. It's a different administration, so to speak. It's a different requirement. The thief died under the law, or at best in a transition between the law and the dispensation of grace. And so the Spirit had not been given. It had been taught, John the Baptist, the very first message after 400 years of silence. And so anyway, we have a whole lot that we can go into when we get to the New Testament on that. But salvation wasn't available, and so the thief on the cross died, and he was given a reprieve to be with him in paradise. What does that mean? I don't know. When he goes to the white throne, will he get another reprieve for eternal life of in the new earth, or will he go to the lake of fire? Because at that point, death and hell will be cast into the lake of fire of those that continue. And so we don't know what he received. But our salvation is not the same as the thief on the cross. But what we see here is Job teasing out some of the thoughts. Where is he when he dies? And then in verse 14, "If a man die, shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come." And so, of course, part of it, Job is in a position where he's longing for death, it seems. And so that's just part of his going through the grief process. And once again, I encourage you, God is the author of life. Everything about God is life. Everything about Satan is death. And so there may be difficult times. Don't allow difficult times to cause your mind to be clouded by a lack of hope, because there is hope in God. And we want to continue to believe in God to carry us through our difficulties and our circumstances, and believe that He is going to be with us. And some of the things, when Jesus was on the cross, He said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" because there are times in our life where we will feel God forsaken. And Jesus experienced the human condition. Everything that we experience, he experienced it. He had a God because he was God in flesh. He was the God man. But as a man, he experienced the human condition as each and every one of us do. In Hebrews chapter 2, verse 14 to 18, it tells us that, expresses that about his flesh. And so Jesus felt God forsaken. Here in chapter 16, verse 11, this is what Job said that this demonstrates his God forsaken feeling. God hath delivered me to the ungodly and turned me over into the hands of the wicked. And so he was feeling God forsaken with what was going on in his life. And so we want to continue to have faith in God no matter what circumstances. And if God seems to forsake us, God forbid that would ever happen. But if we find ourselves in a situation where the world is becoming wicked, more wicked, and somehow we are in a situation where it feels like God has let us down, we want to continue to have faith like Job did, to say, though he slay me, I'm going to trust. I'm going to continue to bless his name. He's worthy of my praise. No matter what I'm going through, he's still God. And someday, tomorrow, we'll know more about what Job has to say about the resurrection. And so, I don't know if the Spirit was leading him in his mind to bring him to the conclusion so that we have the words that we have in the book of Job to encourage us about the resurrection and the hope that we have of one day living again a life that is better than in this world, where all the injustices of this world will be made right. And so there is that better day coming. And so there is a hope that we have beyond this world. And so I just encourage you today. God bless you. Have a great day.